Hi, everybody. It's Amalia, founder of S.T.E.M Braids and Beyond, and host of the Silver Bullet S.T.E.M podcast. Today, I have an incredible guest to introduce to the audience. I cannot wait for you guys to meet her and hear the incredible stories about her S.T.E.M journey. Please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shernada Allen. I am a systems IT program manager, and I oversee a team of amazing, multifaceted STEM professionals, from database analysts, application developers, software developers, testers, business analysts, you name it. We're on the team together creating amazing technology, whether it be websites, phone apps, or standalone applications. So that's what I do, and I've been doing it for a very long time, and it's invigorating and has held my attention all these years.
Well, and how can someone get in touch with you if they wanted to?
You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. It's Shernada Allen, or I have my own IT consulting company. Um, that is SMALLEN at collabpm.com.
Oh, I love that. So I will capture that and put it in the description box for anybody who wants to. I want to ask you, how large is the team you manage?
Oh, over 1,000. Um, yes, I am the program manager, so I do more of the strategic planning. I do more, budget gathering of the resources, capabilities at a higher level. But I have an amazing team of project managers that oversee each of the project areas. And again, it's for logistics. And we're creating robots and tracking devices, and each team does something very unique and innovative. So it's a little bit over 1,000 people.
Oh, wow. If you don't mind me asking, how did you get into STEM?
That's very interesting. I remember distinctly when I was 8 years old, I told my grandfather I wanted a computer, not so that I could use a computer, but so that I could tear it apart and break it apart and see how it was designed, how it worked. Because I had started off with radios and broken TVs and walkie-talkies, and from there, once I was inside of the computer, understanding how the networks and the wires and motherboard and all that works, it was time for me to learn the software side of it, and that was when I was 8 years old, and I didn't stop from there. I learned building blocks, very small things that you and I didn't realize were related to STEM was very much, I would say I was 8 years old, and I said I wanted to be a computer engineer. The college that I chose didn't have engineering, so I had to choose computer science, that encapsulates everything related to, design and everything computer science related. And and I've just grown from there and went ahead and got my master's in computer science and started from the bottom as a help desk person on the IT help desk. So that's what.
So you bring up a great point. What is the difference between computer science and a computer engineer? Because in our demographic, some kids may not know the difference.
So
Tell
that's a
us.
very good question. Computer science, as I said earlier, it kind of encapsulates all of it. You learn how to be a software developer. You learn how to do web design. You learn how to do networking and patching, which networking is allowing computers to talk to one another, whether it's over a local area network within your organization or a wide area network internationally. You learned also about, the motherboard, the switches, the routers, how to build robots. So you get a very not only wide perspective, but an in-depth one as well. Whereas engineering, I think it has more of a concentration on design, the
Yeah.
physical design of the computers, how to build a router, how to build a computer, how to build a server room. Servers are tons of computers in one room communicating with each other. So I think that one is a bit more concentrated, if you will, as opposed to computer science. It kind of covers all of it.
Yeah. What I hear you saying is that if a child or a person is interested in computers and not sure what field they want to specialize in, Computer science gives you a well-rounded approach, and then you figure out what you like versus going into computer engineering and then realizing that you don't particularly like that. So computer science gives you a really good catch-all. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. And you go from there, you could be a database architect, you could be a network engineer, you can go a plethora of different options, with computer science. Even with computer science, they allow you to do some electrical engineering because as you stated, you get that overall lesson, but you also go, very in depth. And so your aperture, if you will, is very wide.
Absolutely. And is that part of the reason you're able to manage such a large team of diverse skill sets?
I would say so because I've played multiple roles. I've been a systems engineer before, where the system engineer basically, I guess, kind of forecasts and can see the entire picture. And we put it in pseudocode so that the developers, software developers, application developers can write the code just straight from what the engineers, provided, for them in a block by block, section. I've done, as I said, testing. I started off on the help desk, answering calls and breaking down. I've worked as an application developer for many, many years. So having touched all of those areas really helps me be a great leader, to the team and understand when they give me a timeline. Is it accurate? Is it padded? Did they give themselves more time than they actually need? So it helps from that perspective, as well as when it's time for me to hire resources, what's going on in the market, do market analysis, how much, does it cost, to develop a system, what resources are needed to, allocate to that. So yes, I would agree with that statement.
Based on your job now and what you see as your childhood interests, they say hindsight is 50-50. In
Mm.
hindsight, do you think that you actually could have done more had you had the knowledge and skill set of your job, or you may have been better aligned to even a more deeper aspect of STEM? Looking in hindsight, how the girl I got you. How do
No,
you,
yeah. Oh my gosh. So that is such a loaded question because though I was so very intrigued and, immersed in computers, even when I made it to high school, my senior year, we only had typewriting and maybe word processing. So, and I think I was the only minority in the class. So by the time I made it to college, I want to say 90% of the students had already been introduced to coding. They had already been introduced to what goes on behind the scenes with the word processor and the CPU, whereas I had just had typewriting. So I knew where the keys were on the keyboard. And again, no one looked like me even in my college class, not even my professors weren't even American. And so not only was I behind the curve as far as being exposed, not even having someone who looks like me that had been in, walking in the shoes that I'm trying to walk in. So there was such a disparity between exposure and what I wanted and having access to people who had, walked that walk and before. So to answer that question, absolutely there was a huge gap, and closing that gap. My senior year, I finally ran into a professor that looked like me and spoke, English, and he poured into me, and he would use trash cans if he had to demonstrate data coming in and data coming out. And
yeah,
that made a world of difference, just from a relatability perspective, and me believing that I can do this and I can be a part of an organization, engineering organizations, if you will, even though I didn't look like them, talk like them, and come from where they came from.
yeah.
Um, I lived a lot of years with the imposter syndrome. But
Mm,
after I read that book by Sheryl Sandberg, Lean In, that was an amazing book. And that book allowed me to shed those layers of fear and doubt and to sit in at that table and
absolutely.
to say my recommendations for the way forward, or either projecting with confidence.
Yeah.
and not having to qualify my statements.
Mhm.
So
Something you said that is so incredible to me, where you said, like, by the time you got to high school, most of the kids had been introduced to computers, and all you had was typewriters. One of the things the data shows is that 60% of kids drop out of STEM hand discovery by the time they're in sixth grade.
mm,
And nobody can understand why. Well, if the children who are in there are not predominantly Black, and they've had exposure to a lot of the concepts from a young age, when
yes,
a child in sixth grade starts that class, they're starting literally behind the eight ball. Not even talk about um,
yes,
college. In the same thing, 60% of Black students, 60%, the same number who drops out of STEM, drops out of college by their third
I
year because
know.
they don't realize college is a place. And when you have teachers who don't understand the difference culturally,
Yes.
there's relatability. When I was doing my master's, I think I was 2 semesters from finishing and literally considering dropping out. And because there was a disconnect, like you're saying, and I had a professor who was a man of color, and I kept saying that the reason it's so hard is because I have a business undergrad. And he said to me, what does that have to do with anything? Like, he called me on it, and I said, I'm struggling with the concepts. And he said, I too started out with a business degree, made the career transition. Here are the things you need to work on. He understood the gap in my learning,
That's it. Mhm.
the gap in what a person of color. And so when you said that, literally, you keep giving me goosebumps.
Yeah, I mean, because it just takes that one person to see something in you,
Or
or
see.
that's it. Just see you. That's it. And it just takes that one, and that is why it is my mission. It is my mission. I started the technology company, but I believe my calling in my life is to reach back to African American females, to be
Mhm.
someone who's not just talking the talk, but walk the walk, has been where they're trying to go. And it is my mission to show them that, I know this is cliche, but something good can come from the hood. Like, truly, because if I can, from where I came from, and I
Mhm.
want them to know it doesn't always look like the Mark Sanderbergs
Mhm.
and the Tesla people. Like, yes, that is a form of engineering and technology. That is a form of STEM, but there are many different avenues in which we can fit into with our innovative, because it's all analytics. If you're an analytical thinker,
Mhm.
at the end of the day, that's all it is. It's analytics.
If you would see my notes right here, here's the thing that I realized: the number one reason why the STEM gap is not being filled. And this is what we were talking about, the fact that I'm working towards doing a PhD early next year, is that most underrepresented communities don't realize that STEM is just cognitive ability.
That's
We,
it.
we got all these fancy words
Yes.
and skills. And actually, that was the thing that made me realize. I was sharing with you, my son is naturally academically gifted.
Mhm.
Daughter, like me, only is good in a few subjects, and then everything else is labor.
Yes.
They're killing us.
Yes. Yes.
But when the engineer said to me, "Hey, you're demonstrating STEM aptitude,"
Mhm.
um, I said, "What makes somebody have STEM aptitude?" Because I didn't even know you could see STEM aptitude, right?
Mhm.
I
Absolutely.
just thought you just had to be academically excellent in every subject.
Oh God,
And
no.
then
Yeah.
they listed for me the 6 core STEM skills. What was beautiful about that is I had been to every doctor's appointment with my kids. And I didn't realize that life was shaping the STEM journey that I have today. When they listed the core STEM skills, I was like, those are developmental milestones both of my kids have met. So my daughter is as STEM gifted as my son is. And
Mm.
I had never even seen that before because she was not
Mhm.
she didn't have that same ability. And you just think, oh, she'll just have a soft, non-STEM path.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
no. By the time her STEM aptitude showed up, we could recognize it. And now she's probably going to go into medicine, but she's also a great, and she's left and right brain. And that's something you hear in science. You're either or.
Yes.
She's and so, like, I mean, it's just blowing the socks off my feet seeing
Yeah.
how the lessons I'm learning is translatable in my own family and how I can help everybody else. But at its core,